Hello there everyone, welcome back to Press for Truth TV. Today is Thursday, April the 5th, 2012, and I'm sure most of you have already heard by now that the Canadian government has decided to phase out the use of the penny, mainly because of the costs that are associated with it. It costs over a penny and a half to make a penny. It's around 1.6 cents is the cost to make 1 cent. So I suppose it makes sense, pardon the pun, to get rid of the penny to save on those costs. But it raises a lot of questions. There's a lot of people wondering now: is this potentially another step leading us towards this concept of a cashless society? And I've been talking about this whole concept of a cashless society for nearly a decade now, and certainly there's many people who have come before me who have also focused on this particular issue. In fact, some of the first kind of anti-New World Order activists who began popping up 20, 30, 40, even 50 years ago were Christians who focused on the concept of moving towards a cashless society because of the biblical prophecy in regards to Revelations 13, where it says that no man will be able to buy or sell or trade unless he has the mark on his right hand or on his forehead. So this concept is certainly not new by any means. But even, 10 years ago, when I would talk about these sorts of things, it would be looked at as kind of a wild conspiracy theory. But now these ideas are beginning to come to the mainstream and on the forefront of things. Here's an article in regards to the penny from just Yahoo News. Canadian penny's demise: what consumers need to know. And if you look down here, it says, "One step closer to a cashless society. We're heading for an electronic cashless society. There's not much doubt about that. This is one of the first steps related to achieving the goal related to that issue. Cash is a very expensive thing to handle. It's the most expensive way of treating money. There's dangers attached to it that don't apply to the electronic structure. In Europe today, you can't even write a check, and there's very few written in Canada now, and it won't be long now before checks are gone. Perhaps the penny's demise does indicate a very gradual move to a cash-free existence, but we're likely decades away from getting there. I can see it as being a step, but it's on a rather long path," TD's Burlington adds. "We're quite a ways away from removing cash from the system completely." So they're kind of saying it is happening, and we are on that path. It's just a matter of time, and these things are going to take time, but it is indeed an agenda that is in the works. And as I was looking into this a little bit more lately with the announcement of getting rid of the penny, I came across this little doozy from the Canadian Mint. Let me just pull this up here. The Canadian Mint has just introduced here, as you can see from the Royal Canadian Mint presents Mint Chip, the evolution of currency. Today's digital economy is changing faster than ever. Currency has to change too. It is introducing Mint Chip from the Royal Canadian Mint, the evolution of currency. Mint Chip brings all the benefits of cash into the digital age. Instant, private, and secure, Mint Chip value can be stored and moved quickly and easily over email, software applications, or by physically tapping devices together. And they even have a slick little edited propaganda piece on why digital currency is better. Let's check this out.
Ever since the beginning of time, people have been buying and selling and using whatever currency was available. But today's digital economy is changing faster than ever, and currency has to change too. It is. Introducing Mint Chip from the Royal Canadian Mint, the evolution of currency. Money, as we know it, is fine for today, but tomorrow is a different story. Imagine a whole new breed of transactions that are smaller, faster, and virtually everywhere. That's where Mint Chip comes in. Mint Chip is currency in a digital form. Using a chip, you securely load value onto a smartphone, USB device, computer, tablet, or cloud. Maybe even some future device that doesn't even exist yet. Now you're ready to go. It's so easy that even a child can use it, especially for their allowance. Mint Chip is better than cash since you can use it online. And merchants will easily and cost-effectively be able to offer digital content in the form of small and extremely small online transactions. Things like buying a song, a news article, or a nifty glow-in-the-dark laser for your favorite online game character. All for a few pennies. Virtual, of course. Plus, no personal data is required or exchanged, whether you're buying a decaf latte, a Canadian history article for school, or paying back that $10 you borrowed last week. Mint Chip is harnessing some of North America's best brain power. We are changing the future. You can too. Mint Chip from the Royal Canadian Mint. The evolution of currency.
And so there you go. It's no longer just a conspiracy theory. There is definitely a move towards this cashless society agenda, and the removal of the penny certainly seems to be a small step towards that. And no doubt, a lot of the prices are just going to round up their prices, so things essentially will cost us a little bit more. And speaking of rounding up, this brings us to our next story for today. There are still huge protests going on in Montreal, Quebec about the rise and the hike in tuition fees. And just yesterday, there were around 80 protesters who were arrested, were kettled by the police and arrested. I'll show you an article that just came out from the CBC in Montreal. Montreal tuition protests leads to nearly 80 arrests. Almost 80 student protesters were arrested after a group of demonstrators stormed Montreal's upscale Queen Elizabeth Hotel and a downtown shopping mall on Wednesday. The students started their march at Victoria Square and proceeded to the hotel. Police said they were called to the hotel after the demonstrators started flipping tables and smashing dishes inside the building where John Lennon and Yoko Ono once staged their famous Bed In for Peace. Police dispersed the crowd at the hotel, but said that some demonstrators headed for the nearby Eaton Centre shopping mall. Officers pursued the protesters through the mall, where display cases were knocked over and items were broken. The group headed to the metro and then came out at the St. Laurent station, where more than 70 people were cornered by tactical officers. Just before 10 a.m., Constable Daniel Fortier said that police were waiting for buses to transport those arrested to the operations center, where they will be identified and a decision will be made about charges or fines. And doesn't that sound familiar? Small group of protesters engage in vandalism. Some things get broken, followed by the larger group of protesters being kettled, rounded up and arrested, put on buses, brought into a detention center where they will later decide whether or not charges or fines are going to be laid. Sounds familiar to me. In fact, it looks familiar. Video footage has just surfaced this morning of the kettling that took place yesterday. And here are a couple of those clips. You can see here, they're all getting kettled. And I'll just skip ahead a bit here and show you how the media was trying to cover it. What's going on here is there's local media trying to get close to the other group of protesters who were kettled, but the Montreal police are blocking the media from being able to film it. He's saying my job is to record what's happening here, and indeed it is. Here is what's going on from his camera angle.
Don't touch, step back. We're caught. We're live. There's 5,000 people watching.
Vous êtes en direct en ce moment. Vous êtes en direct. You are watching COTV Montreal en direct.
We're in Canada. We're in Canada, okay?
Je sais pas notre équipement, monsieur.
And it goes on, and there's a number of these videos starting to surface right now. And so anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys today, let you know that that's going on. And I'm certainly going to keep an eye on this one and follow up on it. I'm going to maybe see if I can contact somebody there in Montreal who can speak on behalf of the student protesters, and maybe I can set up a video Skype interview maybe for tonight or tomorrow, and you know, hear from the horse's mouth first-hand account about what's going on down there. So anyways, guys, just a couple things I wanted to share with you today, and I'll leave it at that for today. Thanks again for tuning in, and I'll see you all right back here tomorrow. Okay, take care.